Welcome back to APAICS Tech Summit. I am Madeline Milka, President and CEO of APAICS. I now have the pleasure of introducing Congressman Shri Thanedar. First elected in 2022, Congressman Thanedar proudly represents Michigan's 13th Congressional District. He currently serves as a member of the House Small Business Committee and Homeland Security Committee. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Shri Thanedar.
Hi, this is Congressman Shri Thanedar, coming to you from Washington, D.C., where we are working on federal budget to keep the government going and operating. I'm a scientist. I grew up in India and was 24 years old when I came to the United States to pursue my PhD in chemistry. Later, I started many small businesses, technology businesses that did innovation for startup businesses, helping startup businesses build their brands and their products. I believe technology is critical. Artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, mobility, all of these advances are important, and we need to ensure that we use the technology, like this panel's title is, Tech for Good. Unleashing the power of technology to create positive social impact. And what does that mean? The technology is only good if we really make a difference in ordinary person's life. If you use technology to improve the lives, the quality of life for every person, especially helping people at the bottom of the economic ladder to create opportunities for them. And that's what I'm hoping this session and this conference will talk about. I look forward to getting and hearing ideas from you and how you all and the government and members of Congress can work together to make people's lives better. Enjoy the conference, have a great panel discussion, and I'm so excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Our next panel is entitled Tech for Good, Unleashing the Power of Technology for Positive Social Impact. Technology has the potential to be a powerful force for driving positive change and addressing pressing challenges. This panel will explore the innovative ways technology can be harnessed for social good, discussing successful initiatives and strategies for leveraging technology to create a more inclusive and sustainable world. Our moderator for this panel is APAICS Board Chair Susan Jin Davis. Susan has 30 years of experience in the telecommunications, media, entertainment, and technology industries. She currently serves as Social Impact Officer for Roker Entertainment, a leading producer of TV, digital, branded programming, and entertainment. She's also an advisor for ALO Advisors, a consulting firm specializing in areas of sustainability, diversity, and corporate social responsibility. She also serves as faculty for the Center for Creative Leadership in the areas of organizational leadership, women's leadership, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. An advocate for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in business and corporate America, she is active in the AA and NHPI community nationally. She serves as the chair of the APAICS board and serves on the board of the Asian Pacific Islander American Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurship, National ACE. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Susan and our next group of panelists.
Thank you, Madeline. We all know the power of technology to improve the way we do business. And we know how technology can enhance our lives as individuals. But the topic that needs to be highlighted more is how technology can be harnessed for social good, using innovative ways to solve the world's biggest problems. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about today in our panel, Tech for Good, Unleashing the Power of Technology for Positive Social Impact. I am Susan Jin Davis, Social Impact Officer for Roker Entertainment and Board Chair of APAICS, and I welcome you today. With me is a panel of distinguished people who will talk about successful strategies and initiatives that their companies are using to leverage technology to create a more inclusive and sustainable world. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. Laura Anderson, Director of Social Impact at Instacart. Francis Lenzone, Manager, Global Social Impact, Executive Engagement, and Philanthropy at Amazon Web Services. Rachel Nemeth, Senior Director, Regulatory Affairs at the Consumer Technology Association. Sueli Shaw, Director, Head of Social Impact at Doordash. And Maia Wagner, Digital Inclusion Strategy Lead at Dell Technologies. Welcome. So let me start off the panel by asking you to just introduce yourself and, importantly, to talk about the work that you do on this very topic. Let's start with you, Laura.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Anderson, and I'm the Director of Social Impact here at Instacart. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much for organizing this panel and for bringing together this amazing discussion. Before diving in, just wanted to give some really quick context on Instacart and our work. We are the leading grocery technology company in North America. We have partnerships with over 1,400 retailers in 80,000 stores, reaching over 95% of households in North America. Our mission is to create a world where everyone has access to the food they love and more time to enjoy it. And as part of that mission, we are constantly working on new ways to expand access to nutritious, affordable food. Our view is that health starts at home and more literally in the kitchen. And over the last decade, Instacart has been at the intersection of food and people, and as a result, their health. Every day, millions turn to us to access food and essentials from retailers they trust. And so last fall, we launched Instacart Health, an initiative leveraging Instacart's products, platform, partners, and policy to deliver healthier outcomes. Instacart Health focuses on 3 areas where we believe we can create the biggest impact. 1, nutrition security, 2, food as medicine, and 3, healthy made easy. In my role at Instacart, I oversee strategic partnerships with nonprofits who use that Instacart technology to scale their food programs to help them create an even bigger impact. And I couldn't even be more excited to tell you about these amazing nonprofits and how we're supporting their work. So thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Laura. And I love the fact that these are issues that are relevant to the businesses that we're hearing from today. Thank you. So, Francis, why don't you talk to us a little bit about Amazon Web Services?
Thank you, Susan. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. My name is Francis Lenzone, and I'm a manager of global social impact, executive engagement, and philanthropy here at Amazon Web Services. In this role, I rely heavily on my previous experience working with nonprofits and government. My government experience includes 5 years working at the White House in the Office of Global Engagement at the National Security Council, where I supported a series of cultural diplomacy, entrepreneurship, and young leaders initiatives that President Obama placed as a foreign policy priority. Some familiar examples of that work include producing the Global Entrepreneurship Summits, the Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, and the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, YSEALI. During the Trump administration, I continued on as a consultant for the State Department working on similar efforts. I am thrilled to be able to bring that perspective to this role and help Amazon deliver tech for social good with many programs I'm looking forward to sharing with you today.
Thank you very much. Rachel, so associations also have a lot to do in this area. So tell us what CTA is doing.
Yes, thank you, Susan. My name is Rachel Nemeth, and I'm a Senior Director of Regulatory Affairs here at the Consumer Technology Association. CTA is the trade association representing the large consumer technology industry in North America, which supports more than 18 million US jobs. CTA has more than 1,400 members, which range from large global technology brands to small innovative startups, as well as numerous suppliers, partners, and vendors to the industry. CTA is also an ANSI accredited standards development organization, and we also have a number of initiatives that through which we find solutions through education, investment, and membership to increase diversity and inclusion in the technology industry. In addition, owned and produced by CTA, CES is the most influential tech event in the world and the proving ground for breakthrough technologies and global innovators. As a member of CTA's government affairs team, I represent the technology industry's interest before federal agencies on issues related to accessibility, broadband deployment, competition, and privacy. And finally, I'd like to note that the CTA Foundation is a public national foundation affiliated with CTA. The foundation grants strategically support programs that improve the lives of seniors and people with disabilities. The foundation also facilitates dialogue among industry, consumers, government, advocacy groups, and other key stakeholders.
Thank you, Rachel. And as you can see, there's just so many different ways these different organizations are being able to do social impact work, leveraging technology. Now, Sueli, can you tell us a little bit about Doordash and yourself?
Sure, thank you. I'm Sueli Shaw. I've been leading social impact programs at Doordash for about 5 years. And I didn't appreciate it at the time, but in hindsight, I can see I was really part of a wave of many tech companies starting to invest more intentionally in social impact several years ago. And today it's such an honor to be in all this amazing company with you all, so thank you. I've had the privilege over those 5 years of getting to define what social impact work looks like at Doordash and to get to design and launch many social impact programs over the years. And a bit about Doordash, I'm sure many listeners are familiar with our app, which is what we call a three-sided marketplace. So the three sides include local businesses, the people who earn on Doordash, often by doing deliveries, and of course, customers in cities across the US and the world. So as a result, because of all these sides of our marketplace, Doordash is a complex business with many stakeholders, and our social impact work is also fairly diverse, as each of these audiences presents unique opportunities for impact and empowerment. But across all of our work, there are constants. So one constant is equity and access. Like we level the playing field for small businesses to compete, or for virtually anyone to earn extra money when they want to, for people to get access to food and essentials that they need. These are strengths that we lean into across all of our social impact work. And the other constant is leveraging our technology and our expertise. So our social impact work is often about extending the power of our platform and the tools and technology that we built to the social and the public sectors. And I'm excited to talk with you all about that today.
Thanks so much, Sueli. And finally, Maia, talk to us about yourself and what Dell is doing.
Thank you all for having me here. It's lovely to be in such great company. I'm Maia Wagner with Dell Technologies. I work on our Global Impact and Giving team, and I was brought on around 2 years ago to lead our digital inclusion work, one of our focus impact areas. Tech for social good is deeply ingrained in the DNA of Dell Technologies. Our business purpose is to create technologies that drive human progress. So I think I have just a really great job driving human progress in the communities that we work and live in, and it's directly related to our business purpose. Double clicking on the work that I lead in digital inclusion, we are focused on increasing equitable access to technology and the skills to use that technology so that people can access their essential services. Since Dell is responsible for some of the digital transformation we're seeing across the world, we feel we have a responsibility to make sure that all communities are included in that digital transformation. And I look forward to sharing some specifics about the programs where we leverage both our technology and our desire to be inclusive moving forward in the conversation.
Thanks, Maia. So I know many of you did begin to talk about the innovative ways your organizations are doing good using technology. So I'd like you to go a little deeper and talk a little more specifically about those initiatives. Maybe even talk about the initiative that really excites you the most. And then importantly, how would all this impact the AA and NHPI community or communities of color or women more broadly? So lots to answer there. I'll start with Sueli first to answer this question.
Sure. So I talked about how our core business model is all about expanding access to opportunity. We help small businesses grow. We provide earnings opportunities that have very low barriers to entry. 1 in every 20 Dashers in our most recent national survey identified as Asian or Asian American, excuse me. Most Dashers, more than half of Dashers are women. And on the merchant side, the small business side, nearly 1 in 4 independent businesses we partner with described their business as Asian owned or owned by a native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. Our co-founder and CEO immigrated from China with his family as a kid and grew up helping his mom run her restaurant. And that's why he was inspired to start DoorDash later on. So a pretty amazing story, but also not necessarily unique in America. These stats really reflect the opportunity for our technology to create opportunity for Asian communities. And I think the story of our CEO and of the small business kind of representation among Asian communities in particular highlights just how significant this community is in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, especially among small businesses and food businesses, and why it's so important to ensure that these businesses can compete in today's world, which is more and more digital, even for those brick and mortar shops. I also want to highlight how we can use our technology in innovative ways by equipping the social sector to use it. So one of our social impact programs enables hundreds of food banks and food pantries to use DoorDash's local logistics technology to schedule home deliveries from their central warehouses and facilities so that people can get more convenient and dignified access to the food that they need. And that's all through a program called Project Dash, which we first started in 2018 and has since powered over 5 million deliveries of food equal to over 80 million meals on behalf of those hunger relief nonprofits and communities across the country.
That's terrific. Thank you. And Maia, you talked a bit about skills building in the technology area, and that's one focus of Dell's, but tell us more about what you're doing.
Yeah, what I think is really cool about the capability of Dell in this space is we are focused on digital inclusion as one of our key impact areas. So we are looking for the partners that are working to bridge the digital divide. At the same time, we can bring in our own technology that we have available on the market to accelerate that. So in that vein, I want to talk about the UNICEF GIGA program, one program that we're a strong partner of. This initiative, it's global, and the goal is to connect every single school in the world to the internet. And we know today that there's about 3 billion people who don't have access to the internet, and that is in their community, in their homes. It's no access whatsoever, and that's a big problem in today's world. So this program, the UNICEF GIGA program, is working to connect all of the schools across the world. Well, first we have to find the schools that are not connected. And we were able to come in with our high performance compute and analyze thousands, millions of satellite imagery that take us around the globe. The compute is able to spot what a school looks like in that market, identify if it has the infrastructure to be connected to the internet or not. And therefore we are starting to spot the schools that are not connected to the internet. And imagine the tool that is for multilateral donors, governments who are trying to solve this issue of getting remote areas connected to the internet. So we were able to accelerate that process for the UNICEF team by using our technology and decreasing the time it takes to map these schools around the world. One example is in Sudan, what was anticipated to take a year of sort of analyzing these satellite images, it took us 6 weeks because we were able to donate our technology to the project. And so not only are we helping bring, information that other partners and us, can come together and connect these schools. But, again, that's really tech for social good. It is technology that is needed in the market that we're able to use in a variety of different ways. But in this case, truly accelerates solving a problem that we're seeing around the world. So I'm super excited about the UNICEF GIGA project.
That's fantastic. I love that empowerment story. So Rachel, CTA, I mean, I've gone to CES many times. It showcases not only these really cool gadgets and things, but I love how you always showcase the ways in which the goals of social impact are being realized through technology. So tell us a little more about CTA.
Sure, and I'm glad to hear your positive experiences with CES and hope to see you out there in a few months. So one example with the CTA Foundation is last year, CTA and the CTA Foundation collaborated with BBC Storyworks to produce an original film series called Technology's Golden Age. And in this series, there are 28 films, and they're all available online through CTA's website and through BBC Storyworks. And they're highlighting the innovations from around the world that contribute to inclusion by design, independent living through care, and wellness for a lifetime. And these are all issues that face everyone, but especially women and a lot of the other groups that we are talking about here today. And in conjunction with all of the work that the CTA Foundation does, CTA also has a very active group of members in our health division. Health technology is a growing area, and that is very important for consumers at large, but more specifically, women's health has a lot of attention right now. And under the direction of CTA's health division, CTA is currently conducting market research on the future of women's consumer digital health and wellness solutions. The objective of this project is to understand the landscape of digital solutions targeted towards women's digital health and consumer sentiments towards these solutions. Another project that our health division is participating in is CTA was one of the organizing groups behind the Health Equity and Access Leadership Coalition, which developed recommendations that recognize the opportunity to apply greater use and adoption of trustworthy digital health tools to improve the digital health disparities that were highlighted through the COVID-19 pandemic. So these are just a couple of the examples of all of the great work happening in the technology industry. And you asked us to talk about what we found to be exciting, and those I find to be exciting.
I'm in the production world, so that caught my eye immediately.
Yeah.
I did not know about that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura, you talked about food insecurity and Instacart's role there. And, here we are facing, the horrible devastation in Maui, where members of our community, the AANHPI community, they're suffering some of the greatest levels of food insecurity in Hawaii. So that really struck a chord for me. So tell us a little bit more about Instacart and what you're doing.
Yeah, of course. And thank you, Susan. And of course, everyone at Instacart, we were so devastated to hear about what was happening in Maui. And one of the many partnerships we have is with Feeding America, who through their network of local food banks is helping to provide support. And so we are lending our support there as well to make sure that they can get back on their feet as soon as possible. But really taking a step back, through our Instacart Health Initiative, we create technology that helps nonprofits scale their food and nutrition programs. And we've really seen firsthand the massive role that technology can play in food access. To break that down, when we think about food access, we really think about it in three different ways: affordability, accessibility, and approachability. So if you're like my family, that sounds like, can we afford it? Can we get it easily? And will we eat it? We know that everyone has different tastes, needs, budgets, diets. And we've seen that the combination of online shopping and delivery really brings dignity of choice and flexibility to families. We also know that food access and insecurity disproportionately impacts communities of color. So again, going back to Feeding America, a great partner of ours, we know through their research that 1 in 17 Asian Americans experience food insecurity, with rates really varying across Asian identities. So specifically within the Pacific Islander community, 1 in 5 are facing hunger. But by combining the power of online grocery and delivery, plus the programs of amazing nonprofits, Instacart is really well positioned to serve these communities, as well as others who are facing food insecurity. And so we've launched several Instacart health tools that can turbocharge nonprofits' work. I won't go into the full suite of tools today, but really just wanted to talk about 2 really powerful products. One is Community Carts, which is essentially a virtual food drive, which allows a food bank to create a wish list on Instacart with their most needed items. And then consumers can actually purchase and have those items delivered directly to the food bank. And then Instacart waives all service and delivery fees on those orders. So 100% of what that consumer is donating is going directly towards food. More than 120 Feeding America food banks have signed up to create a community cart, and we know that 100% of them have received at least one donation. And a lot of the feedback that we hear from the food banks is how happy they are that they're receiving the items that they need the most, not just necessarily what's left over in people's pantries that maybe has expired, they're getting the things that they're hearing from their community are most needed. The other tool we see creating a huge impact is called Fresh Funds. Fresh Funds is a category-specific stipend that can be designated to certain grocery items. In other words, this is a virtual gift card that can be restricted to certain items like produce. So clients can choose which items they want to purchase in that category. So for example, if a nonprofit is restricting the categories to produce, they can choose pears over grapes. Participants can choose which store they want to shop from, like the local store that they already know and love and have been shopping for years. And then participants can also choose if they want delivery or pickup, depending on their schedule. If you compare it to, let's say, a traditional produce box program, this introduces a really new and important element, which is choice. Like many of our nonprofit partners, we believe choice is empowering and it helps clients build healthier habits on their own terms. We launched our first nonprofit Fresh Funds program with Partnership for a Healthier America in Indianapolis earlier this year to bring their produce box program online. So instead of clients receiving a standard box, they received a Fresh Funds produce stipend that they could redeem at any one of our retailers. And we've gotten some really amazing results back from that study that we did around that program. So for example, 4 out of 5 participants who received produce credits reported that they plan to continue to eat more fruits and vegetables after the program concludes. And this is really important to us and Partnership for a Healthy America, whose whole goal is to build healthier habits in communities. We heard such great feedback from participants that the stipend allowed them to try a new fruit or vegetable that they had never tasted, like dragon fruit, but were afraid to purchase with their own limited income for fear that their children wouldn't enjoy it or eat it. And so the stipend really allowed them to discover and fall in love with new foods that now they will choose to purchase in the future. And so we're really excited to see this partnership and many other Fresh Funds partnerships grow, and we'll be bringing this program to many, many more cities across the country in the coming months.
Thank you so much. And finally, Francis, we know that Amazon and AWS is doing so much to empower entrepreneurship, so much around young leadership development, cultural diplomacy, and the like. But tell us a little more, go a little deeper for us. And then if you can, talk about the segue to our own community here, AA and HPI community.
Fantastic. This is such a great discussion. Thank you. I'm going to answer this question with my brilliant government colleagues in mind, because when I was working in government, I recognized that the technology systems and practices that we were using, even at the highest levels of government, were outdated. And this is a topic that will affect every community here in the United States. One of the really unique ways that Amazon and AWS are contributing to social good is through a significant investment in upskilling the United States government. I'm extremely proud of our workforce modernization program called Amazon Bridge, which is an elite fellowship program for top service members and government civilian employees. So since the inception of Bridge in 2014, we have had over 200 fellows from 28 federal government agencies and branches in the military in support of their workforce modernization goals. We are building a highly customized, comprehensive training and education program for these service members based on their needs and interests. Our goal is to enhance capabilities, inspire collaboration with industry, and sharpen all of our competitive edge. For example, in 2022, we hosted 56 Bridge Fellows on 42 different teams across Amazon and Amazon Web Services. So that is fellows from the US government. We're training alongside our teams in Project Kuiper, logistics, disaster relief, Prime Air, Amazon Go, et cetera. We now have the largest training with industry fellowship program, both historically and annually. So this is a really big investment and a very exciting area for us to continue our work, working alongside the US government. And I'm so thrilled to be able to share that with you today.
Thank you, Francis. So this work is not easy. Okay, it doesn't just happen, right? So we want to make sure that the people who are participating in this panel understand that there are challenges, and at the same time, there's also solutions to those challenges. There's lessons learned. So let's turn to each of you to talk about what those challenges have been or are, and what you have found as solutions. And I'm going to start with Rachel on that one.
Great, thank you. I think the largest challenge for me as the part of the government affairs team here at CTA is that innovation moves faster than regulation. We represent all of these fantastic companies that create fantastic technologies that consumers want and need and use. And sometimes the ideas that policymakers have in mind doesn't always keep up the pace with how fast things are moving in the technology world. So for organizations like CTA and other trade associations, we're in a position to help address this problem by sharing research and data with policymakers about what consumers want and how industry is working to meet those needs. Earlier, I mentioned the study that our health division is directing about consumer digital health and wellness solutions and the future of women's health. I think that the results of that research and other similar research that CTA and some of our brother and sister organizations do can really help policymakers as they're looking to either regulate or not in different aspects of the industry.
Thank you, Francis. I know you know a lot about government as well. So tell us a little bit about the challenges inside of Amazon on this topic.
You know, it can be challenging to find the right person inside of Amazon. I hear that a lot. I spend a lot of time helping my contacts connect with the right team internally, and I am delighted to do so. This company is full of brilliant, entrepreneurial, patriotic individuals who are eager to share their gifts back with the community. So if you're interested to discuss any of the programs that I'm mentioning here today, I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn for follow-up.
Thank you. Now, Maia, tell us a little bit about Dell. I mean, I think you're in the solutions business. So tell us a little bit about the challenges and then, of course, the solutions as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges that I've been thinking about a lot lately is both a challenge and one of the biggest benefit of working in this space, and that is we can't do anything alone. I mean, we can do a lot of things alone, but there would be no point, right? We need to come together and drive progress through partnership. And the reason I'm calling it out as a challenge, and hopefully some of my colleagues on the phone can agree, is that it does take more time, and it's more conversations, it's going deep, it's aligning on mutual goals. And we can agree with several of our nonprofit partners, our government stakeholders, our customers, that we ultimately have the same goal, right? That might be improve student outcomes for K through 12 students. But when it comes down to how we're going to get those things done, and are we both meeting our own individual quarterly, annual goals, that's kind of where we can spend too much time and we lose the thread, right? We lose that ultimate goal. So again, I call it out as a challenge, but when it works well, it's so much fun. And it's so exciting to see the progress that can be made when you're working in true partnership. And then just to get a little personal, a challenge that I continue to face at Dell Technologies is that technology can solve a lot of problems for us, right? It's a little bit about focus. What is the biggest priority today? Where are we going to put all our eggs, or at least most of our eggs, in what basket? And so, we get lots of phone calls and understanding what the needs are around the communities in the United States. And I think it's a little bit about sort of reeling in that focus to a very specific area where you can truly make an impact. And so it's been awesome to hear from Sueli and Laura specifically about some hunger issues, because that's an area that we don't work in, but we could, right? So all that to say, there's so much work to be done. Staying focused remains a challenge for me.
Thank you. I can totally relate to that. There's a lot of work to be done. So Laura, I'm wondering if you're finding any challenges, and what are the solutions in Instacart?
Yeah, of course. I empathize with a lot of us on this call, and I think we share a lot of the same pain points, but also the same joys of bringing these sectors together. One of the reasons that I joined the tech industry is its ability to create lasting change at scale in ways that improve people's everyday lives. So over the last decade, I've really seen firsthand how quickly tech companies have been able to innovate to solve human problems. During my time at Airbnb, we were housing, thousands of refugees in homes. And at Instacart, we're helping families gain access to food all across the country. Tech really has that ability to test and iterate on new and groundbreaking ideas. My team's challenge is often trying to strike the right balance between speed and efficacy when working across sectors. In tech, we often want to move quickly to solve a problem and get a solution to the masses, which I heard many of you mention as well. And I think we also know it's equally as important to ensure that our product can effectively address our partners' unique needs, especially since their resourcing may be much lighter than ours. I started my career in the nonprofit space, and so I know how hard it was to constantly keep up with the pace of tech sometimes, given that my own organization maybe didn't have as many resources year over year. And so at Instacart, we are constantly asking ourselves, how can we bridge the gap between sectors, and how can we co-design solutions that creates impacts for everyone? And this is part of the joy of the role, but we've also seen firsthand how each sector is equally as eager to reach that common goal. Wanted to talk about a situation where this has worked really, really well, is around our work with EBT SNAP. The entire ecosystem had to come together to get SNAP benefits online. We have worked so closely with USDA to pioneer online payments for SNAP, and now we're the largest online SNAP payments platform. We partner with over 10,000 stores in all 50 states and Washington, D.C., so that SNAP families in every state have access to the flexibility and convenience of online grocery. But that took incredible collaboration with USDA. We really couldn't have done this without their partnership. So while it may be a challenge to get all the right players to the table and make everyone happy, we've really learned that when you have the entire ecosystem bought in, from nonprofits to the private sector to government leaders, the end goal will always be more impact for more people, which is the goal.
Thank you. And I think you've read my mind, because the next question is, falling on the heels of the discussion that this isn't easy work. It's also work that we can't do alone as individuals, as companies, as organizations. We need partnerships, and public-private partnerships are really critical to our success in this social impact work. So Frances, let's start with you. Like, what is exciting in your world around those partnerships between sectors?
Thank you so much. I love this question because this is why I came to Amazon. The Amazon Climate Pledge, our Amazon Disaster Relief, those are examples of some very visible impact on society. But when I started working here at AWS, one program in particular blew my mind with its audacious, visionary mission. Our Amazon Web Services Open Data Sponsorship Program makes high-value data sets publicly available. So we work with our data providers to democratize access to their data by making it available to the public for free. When the data is shared in the cloud, anyone can analyze it without having to download it or store it themselves. This lowers the cost of new product development, it reduces the time of scientific discovery, and accelerates innovation. So through this program, we are already making 100 petabytes of data available. I mean, mind-blowing amounts of data. And to illustrate why this is so important for our philanthropy message, Amazon Web Services, with our services, the Allen Institute in Seattle is actually mapping the whole human brain. And they're creating the largest open source database of brain cell data in the entire world. So this is going to be the first of its kind to compile and standardize massive data sets on the structure and function of human and mammal brains. So now you know why I say what blew my mind. This is an unbelievable undertaking that Amazon is taking on behalf of the whole world. And not just that, we have US government agencies already using and participating in the open data program to share data with the public. So NIH is a big customer using that program, NARA, NASA, NOAA. So you can imagine the environmental data sets that we have as part of the program are equally as exciting working on climate change research. That's just one example that gets me pretty excited to go to work today.
I can tell you're excited. I'm getting excited. I didn't know about that. So Rachel, associations have to do this kind of public-private partnerships thing. So tell us about what CTA is doing here.
Sure. Well, a big part of what we do is doing exactly why I'm here today is I think that being a part of these types of conversations are so important, and to make sure that our voice is part of the conversation, as well as making sure that there's a seat at the table for anyone who is interested in the topic. And I can use the example of a couple things that we do at CES every year to accomplish that goal. One is our diversity and inclusion team hosts something called the Innovation for All program. And at CES 2024, this will include programming focused on ensuring that all voices are represented in technology and innovation. This program will bring together thought leaders and allies for engagement opportunities, networking, and to share best practices in advancing diversity and inclusion in the tech industry. And in addition to that program, we also work really closely with the CTA Foundation to host a program that's completely focused on accessibility issues every year at CES. And this includes a roundtable discussion that brings together CES exhibitors, CTA member companies, government officials, and accessibility advocates to talk about all of the important issues that are happening in that space. So it's just important, everyone to have their voice and have a seat at the table.
Thank you. So in the waning minutes of this panel, which could go on for hours and days, weeks, months, I'm going to ask each of you to talk briefly about what you'd like the audience to take away from this conversation. Some people in the audience want to know how to start. Some people want to know how to keep going. Some people want to know how to be inspired in the work. So I'm going to start with Francis, and then I'll just go around the horn and, feel free to jump in if you want. But Francis, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I just want everyone to take away that tech for social good is alive and well here at Amazon, and our impact is only going to increase as artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies advance. So for example, now that we're mapping the whole human brain, our team is actually looking to leverage generative AI services such as Amazon Bedrock to integrate foundation models and to advance treatment for brain disorders such as Alzheimer's and autism. This is just one example of how artificial intelligence and machine learning will change our lives for the better. It's an absolutely exciting time to be a technologist for social good. Thank you for having me today, and I've learned so much from my panelists.
Laura, you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. I think the biggest takeaway from Instacart is this is just the beginning of the impact we can make in millions of homes across the country. We know that hunger does not discriminate. And for the first time, the technology is really ready to meet the moment and help scale social good in ways that were simply impossible just a few years ago. Imagine patients across the country in every community, including underserved populations who suffer from chronic health conditions, are able to shop each week from a special grocery list designed specifically to help them manage or treat those conditions, with the food and delivery covered by their employer or their insurance. Imagine it's just as easy for physicians to prescribe nutritious food as it is to prescribe medicine. And imagine that this can all be done for families in food deserts at an affordable price. The technology that didn't exist then exists now. And I think, more importantly, we touched on all of this, but none of this scales and none of this reaches its full potential without the entire ecosystem working and learning together. So we are just really excited and committed to continuing this work with all of our partners.
Thank you, Sueli.
Sure. I think what I want to highlight here is really the opportunity for more understanding across sectors. I think whether you are looking to start a social impact program, whether you're looking to partner with a social impact program, really understanding what the competencies are in both directions is so important. So understanding what it is that you have to bring to the table as that company, kind of like Laura was alluding to, really deeply understanding the potential of the technology to make an impact so that you can start thinking about all of those opportunities. And then for stakeholders at nonprofits or in government who are looking to partner with companies, I think it goes in that direction too, like understanding kind of what competencies you bring to the table and how those can work together to, complement each other. We often try to include community partners or government leaders in the process of developing a program or feature. And I think that's just an example of how we try to really cultivate that understanding and ensure that, we can figure out how we can double down on what we do best so that, our partners can be even more successful at what they do best.
I kind of want to piggyback off of that, Susan, if you don't mind, just because I feel like
Next. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Here I go. But Sueli, you were kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say something else in planning for this conversation, but I just am so inspired by everybody's background and the fact that we come from different places. I think what I've learned in this conversation is that your backgrounds, your experience is so valuable in this space. Your competencies, as Sueli was putting it, is super important because tech is that cross-cutting tool in all industries now. And so if you want to participate in a Tech for Good initiative, if you want to, partner on something, it is about leaning into your experience because you have something to offer, whether it's your perspective based on your life experiences or your training or the company you work for at the time. There is space for you here because there is work to be done. So leaning into what you have to offer, being loud about that is really important so that we can really drive progress together.
Thank you. And Rachel, bring us home on this one.
Sure, happy to. Well, I think that the main takeaway from this conversation is right there in the name of the conversation, and it's Tech for Good. We've heard so much from every panelist today about all of the amazing work that is facilitated through technology. So the main takeaway is just don't be afraid of innovation. Don't be afraid of technology. Just because something might be a little bit new or unfamiliar doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just might be a learning curve, but this is an area that there's room for everyone, and we can all use Tech for Good.
Thank you to each of you. And I am just blown away by everything about this panel. I mean, here's some takeaways from my perspective. The first is these problems are really hard because these areas are so big, but the answer isn't that we don't do anything. So one way to start is to say, what am I good at? What's my company's real competence, whether it's technology or food, and apply that competence and that skill level to solve a problem. The second, partnership. We can't do it alone. We need to work together. We can work together by literally going to other members of our industry. We can work together by working with government. We can empower communities and nonprofits so that there is an ability to be able to do self-help. There's so many different ways in which we can partner. And mostly, let's also remember that the impact is really critical. It is on actual people who are dealing with actual problems. And everyone on this panel was able to talk about specific ways their companies and organizations are impacting real people with real problems by finding real solutions using technology. So I want to thank Laura from Instacart, Francis from Amazon, Rachel from CTA, Sueli from Doordash, and Maia from Dell for their time today. And I'm sure that you can look them up and find them and track them down for more information on the great good that they're doing. And I thank you so much for being part of this amazing conversation.